All right, so it's pretty much the same platform as what AJ's riding, just a little bit different with your weight. So for Enduro, when you're coming into an obstacle, you don't know how the bike's gonna react always, because it could be a slippery rock face, or it could have like some wet on like a tree root or something, and you never know what way the rear tire is gonna go. So it's a little bit more unpredictable. So having your feet just not out, like you don't ever want to have it out like that, because if you ride out like that, you ride past a tree, you're gonna snag your foot, and then there goes your ACL, or injure your foot or hurt your ankles. So you don't want to be out, but just having a little bit of a gap, not necessarily pinching, but just kind of like a loose fit on the foot pegs. And it allows to keep a little bit of space in between your seat and your legs, and allowing the bike just to move on its own in between you without even your body moving. The bike will move on its own. So having a bit of space there, and then keeping your weight a little bit further back. So if you're up moto position like AJ and you come into a log with your front tire, you hit it, you're gonna hit it and you're gonna be chest to the bars. So having your weight back a little bit, keeping your arms straight, kind of the same squat position, like you're about ready to jump up or something. So squat position, and then your weight back, arms not necessarily moto style bent, but more so straight, so you have a little bit of playroom if the bars do come up to your chest. If you hit a rock, a sharp edge, and it pushes the bars up, you got some room to move around.
Hey Moto Academy, we have an apparel drop. So many designs, it's unbelievable. Check them out. We got the dirt bikes design, pretty cool. Sizes all the way from youth, all the way up to, I hope, triple XL, or else driver Jamie's gonna kill me. Go to tour.themotoacademy.com and grab these. We're gonna leave them on the site for only a few weeks. We're gonna toss in signed jerseys with a whole bunch of different orders. So put in an order, you might get a signed jersey. This is the graphic tee with the straight rhythm bike on it. This one's pretty cool. This is a fan favorite, if I don't say so myself. This one might be my favorite. This one's awesome. This is Alley Cat's favorite. And we got crew necks, because we live in Connecticut now and it's cold. This thing's heavy. Brand new crew neck, little design in the front, clean, simple, just high-end stuff. And a wrinkled crew neck. So if you order now, you can get a wrinkled crew neck. Unbelievable. But yeah, these are the best designs we've ever done by far. Go on the website, check them out. High-end stuff. They're going to be on the site for only a couple of weeks, and then they're gone forever. So go check it out, tour.themotoacademy.com. Click into that shop tab.
So yeah, just having a good amount of wiggle room, keeping your toes not pinched tight, but just probably like hips width apart. You don't want to have them too far out on the outside of the pegs. You don't want to be too tight, but just a little bit of gap in between. You should be able to fit like a bottle cap. No more than a bottle cap should be able to fit between your knee braces at all times.
That for me was the biggest thing. Like yesterday, and I immediately forgot it. Like I said, I went back to instinct for me, which is the perfect moto position. Toes tight, knees locked tight, and I forgot to create that space. But what it would do is, I always talk about on the motocross track that the reason I'm so passionate about teaching this thing is like, I don't experience situations on the moto track where something completely unexpected happens. Like, I know what's gonna happen the whole time, for the most part. When we went over there, I literally never knew what was gonna happen. Like, something different happened every time I went up over that tire. Every time I went over the tire, a different outcome happened. It was insane. So that's where, if I had remembered, creating that little extra space maybe in between the knees and the shroud to let that bike have a little bit more freedom to go left and right when it needed to, probably wouldn't have compounded the effect of, like, I would get that quick little unexpected movement and it would ruin the whole rest of my section. Next thing you know, I'm stuck up on the tire, just like framed on it.
And I think a good thing about the ankle flexion too is not locking them out together. You shouldn't ever, for Enduro, I don't think you should ever have your ankles locked together. You should be able to move them separately. So if you are going through a rock section and the bike tilts, you can flex one and keep that traction on the side knobs of your tires. So it's never just a full push and flex while you're going through an obstacle. It's kind of more, you got to be prepared to let your feet kind of move with the bike a little bit and let the bike move a little bit more under you.
The biggest thing, well, I'll get to your question in 1 second. The biggest thing is just make sure today that you're going through that checklist. Go through the checklist from the feet to your head and reassess when you get to Moto and then to the hard enduro obstacle back to Moto. Just go through that checklist really quick. When you get good at it, you can go through the checklist, feet, knees, hips, chest, elbows, in a second. You can go through that checklist very, very quick. Question?
Yeah, so I ride like 50-50 woods motocross, and this is very interesting to me. Is this only when approaching an obstacle, or if you're in a fast section of the trail? Like, I still use the same things you teach and ride like a moto position. But or what you're saying, is that how you ride all the time?
So I think like there's definitely sections on a trail that you can charge like a moto section. But if you're going through tight single track with really skinny trees, you don't want to be all elbows. If your elbows out, you'll be clipping your elbows on trees and stuff. So having your weight closer to the rear tire is always, like, steering with the rear is always going to be helpful, and you always it'll make a smoother ride as well. Like pushing through the roots. If you're on the front and you're going through a root section and you're all up front, you're going to be skipping around. The front tire's going to just be washing around all over. But if you're keeping the front light and kind of the front tires just skimming over them and the rear tires is what's driving through, you'll have a bit smoother ride, and the bike won't really move around as much. It's more of a stable ride having the weight on the back.
I think it depends on like how technical your trail is.
Very true too, yeah.
Like where I've been doing my single track riding, for the most part, yes, it's technical, but like my moto position has worked quite well. When I got over there yesterday, where it's more like trials, like we were first gear barely moving, trying to get up over stuff, the moto position wasn't really as effective. It was amazing to watch him to where like he would still make mistakes, and we were talking about this last night. He would make mistakes and sometimes get stuck in a situation, but instantly could correct it and fix it, or even like roll the bike backwards or pivot out and around to the point where it all looked intentional. And when you see a high-level moto guy, I always use that kind of analogy with Jet. Jet makes mistakes all the time, but to the layman watching, you think that he's making no mistakes. It looks perfect because the mistakes are so subtle, and I think that's where that hard enduro stuff really comes in. So yeah, I think it's just good to have both in this.
React to both, because there'll be definitely times where I get onto a flowy trail and there's nice berms and ruts, and I want to moto it because it's faster and more efficient as well. So, and then if you always got to be reading the terrain too. If you see a flowy section, you can get on it, flow it, moto, and then if you come into a rock garden, if you obviously can't moto into that, you'll wash out or crash or push the front out. So just being able to adapt and watch what's going on and being able to switch back and forth is huge.